Hello, I'm Rebecca Flaherty, and this week I'm going to show you how to make this geometric pattern in Procreate. You don't need to be able to draw to make this pattern, as we're going to be making it all with simple filled shapes and a bit of clever maths. This is an intermediate level tutorial. If you know how repeat patterns work and are familiar with things like snapping and transforming in Procreate, this should be a fairly easy tutorial to follow along with. But if you're new to patterns or new to Procreate, you might find it a bit trickier, but if you follow along step by step, you will end up with an identical pattern to me at the end. I'll put all the measurements and dimensions in the description, and if you want to use the exact same colour palette as me, you can get that in the Pattern Makers Toolkit over on my website. So let's get started. We're going to create a new canvas, and we're going to use a custom size, and the width is going to be 4,200 pixels, and the height is going to be 4,200 also. DPI we'll leave at 300, and then we can click Create. So on this new layer here, we're going to fill it with our first colour. So we'll grab this red from the rainbow palette and we'll tap Fill Layer. Then we're going to tap on this arrow to transform. For this tutorial, I've got the interpolation method set to bicubic, and we're going to tap on this blue node up here. We're going to unconstrain this ratio. I'm going to leave the width at 4,200 and the height I'm going to change to 600 pixels. So now we've got this stripe here, which is 4,200 pixels, the full width of our canvas, by 600 pixels. Tap on anywhere around there to set that. So that's our first stripe in place. Then we're going to duplicate this layer. Let's alpha lock it, and we'll fill it with our second rainbow colour. So we'll tap up here and Fill Layer. Now we can tap to transform, and then making sure that we've got magnetics and snapping on and that distance and velocity are all the way up to the top, we can drag this down and snap it to the bottom of this rectangle. So you'll see a blue line across here to show that it's snapped to that, and you'll see an orange line down there to show that it's snapped to the edge of the canvas. Then on our layers again, we're going to duplicate this orange layer and fill it with our second rainbow colour now. So we'll fill this with the yellow, tap to transform, and we're going to drag this one down and snap it to the bottom of the orange stripe. Then we can duplicate this one again, then fill it with our green colour, tap to transform, and drag it and snap it down there. This green one will be in the middle of the canvas, so at this point, if you've got everything all snapped properly into place, when you snap this one, you'll also get these orange lines to show that this one is perfectly centred on the canvas. So then we can duplicate this green one, fill it with the first blue colour, tap to transform, and snap this to the bottom of the green one. Duplicate again, fill it with this colour, tap to transform and snap it down there. And then the last one, duplicate, fill it with this purple colour, tap to transform, and then snap this one down to the bottom of the canvas. And on this last one, you'll have the blue line where it's snapped to the edge of the blue rectangle there, and you'll have orange around those edges to show that it's snapped to the bottom of the canvas. So that's our simple rainbow stripe. That's one repeating tile. You could save that as a JPEG, and that would be one repeating rainbow stripe pattern. But I think these rainbow stripes would look nicer if they had a little bit of white in between each one. So let's have a look at how to do that. This top layer here that we have, I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to unalpha lock it, and I'm going to tap to transform. And I'm going to tap on this blue node here, click on this little link here to unlink the two dimensions, and instead of being 600 pixels for the height, I want this to be 100 pixels. So we'll tap on that and change that to 100. And then we can alpha lock this layer again and fill it with white. I've just spotted that the colours I'm using, these are a lot brighter than these here, and I think when I was creating the canvas, I probably somehow ended up putting this, in a CMYK profile. I don't normally work in CMYK, normally I work in RGB, so I don't know why it defaulted to that, but it's okay to use CMYK or RGB. The mechanics of how this tutorial works are going to work exactly the same either way, so we'll carry on in CMYK. So back to this thin stripe. First one, I'm going to snap it so that it sits in between. So half of it is overlapping this purple one and half of it is overlapping this one. So I'm going to snap it like that. You'll have a blue line across the middle and an orange line at the side, and that will show that it's split evenly across these two. Then I'm going to do the same and put that in between each of these. So we can duplicate this one, tap to transform, and we're going to snap it halfway in between those. Do the same with this one. So you want to have the blue line going across the middle, not like this. That means it's snapped to the edge of this one, so that one's going to be wider there than that is there. You want to snap it in between and have that blue line going across the middle there. And do the same on this one. And then repeat it for these two as well. And then for these edge ones here, we want half of it down here and half of it up there. So when it repeats, it joins up to make a whole one. So we want to snap half of this one down here. So you'll see an orange line down that edge and a blue line across the middle of the shape. And then we'll do the same at the top. So we have an orange line down the edge and the blue line across the middle there. And then that is our rainbow stripe done. I'm going to put all of this into a group now by swiping right on all of these layers. And then tapping group up here. Then that keeps our layers a bit tidier. So let's have a look at this in repeat now. To see how this is repeating, we can swipe down with 3 fingers and tap copy all. Then swipe down again and tap paste. I'm going to hide this group here and I'm going to change the background colour to something dark. So now we've got a dark background colour. If there's any gaps on the edge when we repeat this, that dark will show through and we'll be able to see if there's any mistakes on there. So I'm going to tap to transform and snap this up to the middle of the canvas there. You'll see orange lines crossing over and that will say 2100 pixels there. Then we can duplicate that, snap it over to this side, and then let's zoom in here to the middle and make sure that this seam is repeating properly. So by showing and hiding this, we can just have a look up there and see that that's all repeating properly down that seam. So we can pinch those together, duplicate, and then snap this to the bottom, and we can check this top and bottom seam now. And that is looking okay all along there. So that's how this pattern is repeating. That's how to make a simple rainbow stripe pattern. There's some other pretty cool things we can do with this though. I'm going to pinch these two together and I'm going to duplicate this layer, tap to transform, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Then for the blend mode, where it says N here, this is N for normal at the moment. Let's scroll through some of the other different blend modes and see what cool effects we can get. So with darken, you're going to get this kind of almost like a basket weave effect on there. Colour burn, linear burn, darker colour, back to normal. This one I think is my favourite, the lighten blend mode, because you get this like paint palette kind of effect. That's the one we're going to ultimately go back to. Screen is similar, but it gives you a lighter colour. And then there's all these other ones that you can get by scrolling through the different ones like this. And it's like magic. If you want to use any of these as a pattern tile, what I would do is go back to this pattern, swipe down with 3 fingers and copy all. Paste this one in again. Duplicate, tap to transform, rotate it around 90 degrees and change the blend mode on this one to whatever you want to use it as. So I think it was lighten that we were going to go with, and then export this as your pattern tile rather than the smaller scale one. And if you were uploading it to somewhere like Spoonflower, I would use Spoonflower to change the scale on this rather than using Procreate to change the scale. When you upload to Spoonflower, it's automatically going to reduce it down to 150 dpi for you. You don't need to use Procreate or Photoshop to do that. And then you can change the scale on there further as well. So I would always export your best quality version, which would be this one, and then change the scale on Spoonflower. So let's hide those and go back to this one, and this is our finished pattern tile. We could put this in repeat one more time again, so we could swipe down again, do copy all, come up here, paste, and then we could drag this up and make it one step smaller again. And if you used sRGB, which is what I would normally use for doing any work, yours will be kind of even more vibrant and bright than this one. We can pinch those two together. And there we go, that's our pattern in repeat. I hope you've enjoyed watching this tutorial and that you have a go yourself. From now on, I won't be posting my artwork on Instagram anymore because of their new AI updates to their privacy policy. I've switched to using a platform called Cara for sharing my art and connecting with other artists. Cara is a social media and portfolio platform for artists that filters out generative AI images so that people who want to find authentic creatives and artwork can do just that. My username over there is @bekkiflaherty, the same as it was on Instagram, so I'd love for you to join me over there on Cara and share your patterns and tag me so I can see your versions of this tutorial. I just want to point out I am not sponsored by Cara or anything. I was not asked to promote them. I just really like using that platform as an alternative to Instagram. If you want to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube for pattern tutorials like this every week. And if you want to see more in-depth courses from me, you can find those over on Skillshare. If you're not already a Skillshare member and you sign up using the link below, you'll get 30 days for free. Have fun, stay creative, and I will see you next time.